Welcome everybody to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. A glorious afternoon as number 19 UCLA gets ready to host Oregon State in the Pac-12 opener for both teams. Hi everybody, welcome. Sean McDonough along with Chris Spielman. We'll be joined in just a moment by Quint Kessenich. The UCLA Bruins 3-0 off to a great start in their first year under Jim Mora. That includes a win over 16th ranked Nebraska. Totally new look on offense for the Bruins as they get ready to take the field here this afternoon. Spread offense, up tempo, putting points up at a record pace, 40 points per game, more than 600 yards of offense per game, and Jonathan Franklin has emerged as a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Well, when you're a new coach and you want to change the culture, it helps to have your best players, the hardest working guy on the team. There's a reason why Jonathan Franklin averages over 8 yards a carry. Watch this. First of all, it's patience. To bounce it outside, he trusts his speed, has good vision. And the thing I love about him, when you look at Jonathan Franklin running the football, he runs with power, and he gets a lot of his yards after contact. The other thing he can do, and this is a problem for defenses, out of the backfield, he's a very dangerous receiver. Then you add into the mix Brett Hundley. Brett Hundley, so far in 2 games, has thrown for over 300 yards out of the 3 victories. Shot in the first play of scrimmage against Rice. He went 72 yards for a touchdown, so he can run it.
And they'll be tested today, will the Bruins, by an Oregon State team that's just happy to be playing anybody. They're 1-0. They had their opener against Nicholls State postponed because of a hurricane. They had a built-in bye week. They're the only team in the country that's only played 1 game. It was a big win over Wisconsin. They're trying to bounce back after a tough year a year ago, and the quarterback's leading the way.
Well, it starts with Sean Mannion. Take a look at Sean last year. He had a tough year as a freshman, threw 18 interceptions. In the first ball game, the thing he did not do is stay on his #1 option long enough. He kind of checked down the ball a little bit too early, felt they missed some opportunities. They will get opportunities today because UCLA will be up in a man-to-man press coverage, and that gives them an opportunity to throw the ball deep.
2 undefeated teams getting ready to go head-to-head at the base of the San Gabriel Mountains. Oregon State and UCLA, the kickoff right after this. It's been a very warm summer in Southern California, and it's a warm mid-September day today. 88 degrees under mostly sunny skies here at the Rose Bowl. Brett Hundley and the UCLA Bruins will get the ball first as Oregon State won the toss and deferred. So Trevor Romaine will kick off, sophomore from Corona, California. He'll kick it away for the Beavers. Damian Thigpen and Stephen Manfro back deep for UCLA. Bruins' great start has excited the fan base. Hoping to watch UCLA go to 4-0 with a home win today. Romaine, line drive kickoff. It'll be a touchback to the 25. Here's Quint Kessenich.
Sean, for Oregon State, it's been the endless summer. 44 practices since the start of camp, yet they've only played 1 game. Players we talked to yesterday said the beginning of the season has been weird. They feel stir-crazy, stressful. It's been a very unconventional start. Head coach Mike Riley just anxious to get into the rhythm of the season. Says this team is still a mystery. I asked him about mistakes. He said there's certain mistakes that are game day specific. Your biggest improvement comes from playing in games and making those corrections. Let's see for the Beavers if practice does make perfect.
Win today would tie Mike Riley, the all-time lead in wins at Oregon State with Lon Steiner. Hundley's playing on a sore right ankle, wants to throw deep, and it is caught but out of bounds. The catch made by Shaquille Evans, but he was across the boundary. And the UCLA coaches believe they can take some deep shots against an Oregon State team that plays its safeties close to the line of scrimmage often.
Well, that's the way you loosen safeties up, and Evans is definitely a deep threat. A young player, not knowing where he is on the field, loses sight of the sideline and steps out of bounds.
An up-tempo offense coordinated by Noel Mazzoni. They want to snap it between 20 and 25 seconds left on the play clock. Hundley on that gimpy right ankle gets a yard. He injured it against Nebraska 2 games ago. DJ Hundley made the tackle. Brett's a redshirt freshman. from Chandler, Arizona. First freshman quarterback in the history of UCLA football to throw 300 yards in back-to-back games. Did it against Nebraska and Houston. After they opened with a win at Rice. He's been solid in all three. He's in trouble. Gets away. Dumps it short. Good move by Devin Lucien, but he's pulled down short of the first down marker by Rashad Reynolds. Part of a talented tandem of cornerbacks for the Beavers.
And a variety of different defenses from defensive coordinator Mark Banker. Right there, they dropped 8 and only rushed 3. And I'll tell you, you're in good shape, Sean. If you can get pressure with just 3, they were able to take all the routes away at the sticks, forcing Hundley to check down.
One of the best punters in the country is Jeff Locke for UCLA, 4-year starter. And his first effort today, a good one. Jordan Poyer banged out of bounds at the 13, well covered by the Bruins. Ryan Hoffmeister made the hit on Poyer, who brought one back 85 yards for a touchdown against UCLA in Corvallis last year. The Bruins won that game. So here come the Beavers. Didn't have a big day offensively in their only game of the year, but enough to win 10-7 at home against Wisconsin. Sean Mannion, big quarterback at 6'5", and we visited with him yesterday. He looked even taller than that. In Pleasanton, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, Storm Woods opens as the running back. Clayton York, the fullback. Play action pass is dropped by York, who hasn't had a rush or a reception this year. Let's take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Storm Woods, we asked him what his strengths are. Agile and smooth. We'll get a chance to see it. Marcus Wheaton on the outside, matched up with those tough press coverage by UCLA corners. And on the defensive side, Jordan Poyer. Not only can he cover, but watch him on punt returns.
Storm had a longer list of his good qualities than agile and smooth. Said he had great hands.
Yeah.
A couple of others. Far sideline catch made, and a first down for Connor Hamlet. 11-yard pickup. Eric Kendricks, an inside linebacker in this 3-4 UCLA defense, made the tackle.
Yeah, I'll add another one in there. I'll add blocking right there. He did a good job of getting the hands down of Zumwalt, number 35, the outside linebacker for UCLA, allowed Mannion to have an open throwing lane to the flat. Storm Woods doing it all.
1st and 10, Oregon State. Storm Woods, the lone running back. Quick throw and a catch by Brandon Cooks, one of the fastest players on their team. A 4.3 in the 40 for Cooks. And he's quickly down into UCLA territory at the 38-yard line. Andrew Abbott, a safety, made the tackle. Gain of 24 and a first down for the Beavers.
Yeah, you can get a high five, because if you want to play in Oregon State's offense, you need to block downfield, just like Marcus Wheaton gets a block on Sheldon Price. And Brandon Cooks can get yards after catch with that 4.31 laser speed.
Malcolm Agnew is the running back now. Mannion fake to him. Another throw to Connor Hamlet. He's knocked out of bounds near the 30-yard line by Eric Kendricks.
Jim Moore was concerned, Sean, with this type of offense. They've played spread offenses their first 3 ball games. This is more conventional, and Oregon State does a very good job of using multiple tight end sets, and sometimes you can get confused in your coverage or your man-to-man matchups on the inside.
2nd down and 2. Another play action fake. Mannion has a man wide open. It's Wheaton trying to make a move. And he's down and perhaps face masked by Aaron Hester. Tackled at the 13, and it looks like they'll take that half the distance to the goal after an 18-yard gain.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 21. Penalties enforced half the distance to the goal, first down.
Then dropping back into pass protection. The offensive line went downfield for about a yard. That slows down the pass rush, and Mannion right now is playing confident. He's on target. He's making the short throw, the long throw, and anytime you can put it on a guy's chest, he doesn't have to work to run. He'll get positive yards.
Mannion's 5 out of 6 has completed the last 5. 1st and goal, Oregon State from the 6-yard line. Agnew, the lone back. 2 tight ends on the field for the Beavers. Agnew down to the 5-yard line. He was their starting running back at the beginning of last season and had a huge game in that loss to Sacramento State. Went for 223 yards. But he had hamstring issues as the year went along, some fumbling problems, and Storm Woods beat him out in their preseason battle this year.
And one man's loss, another man's opportunity. But like many other teams, talking about as he gets away in face mask, they didn't catch it. The guy with the U on his back needs to reach in the pocket for the laundry. But a lot of 2 backs. A lot of guys want to have 2. Keep them fresh.
That was a big-time face mask. Hard to believe it was missed. Then again, we didn't see it either. Mannion throws, corner of the end zone, and it is out of bounds. Brandon Cooks caught it, but he could not get a foot down in bounds in the end zone.
Good call by the officials, and that's one Mannion would like to have back. On the run, he's not the most accurate guy. He's kind of your classic drop back passer at 6'5". Movement isn't his forte. Standing in that pocket, looking above the line and delivering darts. That's what he does best.
3rd and goal from the 5. The 11th play of the Beavers drive. From the 5-yard line. Sean Mannion under pressure, throws incomplete in the direction of Clayton York. The fullback, Eric Kendricks, had the coverage.
Tough read for a linebacker to get out there in the flat from the inside position to play man-to-man. Eric Kendricks. Nice job of not getting caught up in the play action and sneaking out and getting over the top of the intended receiver.
There's Trevor Romaine, 1 for 2 in field goals in the opener against Wisconsin. Made a 43-yarder, missed from 40. This is 22 and right down the middle. So an impressive drive for the Beavers results in 3 points. They had the ball for more than 4 minutes, had 5 first downs along the way. What a spectacular scene this was just after noon local time yesterday. The Space Shuttle Endeavor flying right over the Rose Bowl after a cross-country trip to Cape Canaveral, Florida, on its way to its retirement home here in the Los Angeles area. The last journey for Endeavor, which flew 25 missions. That took your breath away. People all over Southern California out on rooftops with cameras to take a picture as it flew over.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring, actually. NASA, the job they do.
Trevor Romaine kicks off, and for the 2nd time in as many kickoffs, a touchback. There's Jonathan Franklin, the nation's leading rusher, at 180 yards per game through the first 3, looking for his first carry, and as Chris predicted, he gets it very quickly. Gets a yard. He ran for 214 in their opener at Rice, then 217, a career high in their win over Nebraska here, and last week 110 against Houston. He also leads the country in total offense. Steven Manfro goes in motion. 2nd down and 9. Franklin yanked down. They threw a flag, but it looked like he had a jersey and not a face mask, at least from here. Maybe it's a holding penalty against UCLA. Scott Crichton made the tackle.
I think you're going to see such penetration right there.
Holding. Offense, number 78. Penalties decline. Down is 3.
They lost 4 yards on the play, so they'll take the down.
Crichton right in there, and you see the penetration coming from the outside. Excuse me. And sometimes you want to take the holding call just to protect your player, but Crichton very quick off the football.
The young offensive line, 3 freshman starters, and they're playing without senior right guard Jeff Baca today, out with a head injury. Hundley down the middle and incomplete. Intended for the tight end Fourier, usually sure-handed. And Jim Moore telling us he hasn't been quite the same lately, bothered by a very stiff and sore back.
Actually, he only gets away one. Ryan Murphy has a great jump on the football, and Fourier being 6'7", 255 because his body's so big, avoids the interception by boxing him out.
Fair catch, signaled and made by Jordan Poyer off a 45-yard punt by Jeff Locke. 144 career catches entering today, 8th in Oregon State history. Senior from Chandler, Arizona, where Wheaton was a high school teammate of the UCLA quarterback Brett Hundley. On 1st and 10, a short gain for Woods. Matter of fact, the first touchdown pass that Brett Hundley threw in high school, Chandler, as a sophomore, went to Marcus Wheaton, a 50-yarder.
Pretty good guy to throw to. Marcus, another confident guy, not cocky at all, but very confident. He was looking forward to playing against these lanky UCLA cornerbacks that like to get up and press, get in your face, challenge you.
2nd down and 9. Mannion bumped as he throws, and it falls short, throwing it in the direction of Brandon Cooks. 3rd down and 9 with under a minute to go in the opening quarter.
See what Jim Moore decides to do here. He'll bring pressure and play zone coverage and match up at the sticks at the 1st down markers. Looks like man.
They bring pressure and they get there. Anthony Barr. Jordan Zumwalt also in on the attack. They started the day with 7 sacks in 3 games, leading the nation in sacks after they had 14 all of last year.
When you're a freshman true center, you're not used to seeing all kind of stunts. Seumalo right there stays on the guard on Dayton Jones, and you have Anthony Barr coming on a little loop. Seumalo didn't come off. That's his man to provide the protection. Good stunt by the Bruin D's.
Keith Costal got the punt off with some pressure, and the fair catch made by Damian Thigpen on the final play of the 1st quarter. 43-yard punt. The quarter controlled by the Beavers, but their lead is only 3-0. Oregon State leads just 3-0 after a quarter, despite the fact they dominated the 1st quarter. 2 huge penalties. Grant Anger, a leg whip tripping penalty, wiped out a long touchdown. And then Rudolph Fafita roughing the passer penalty gave UCLA a 1st down when the Bruins would have had a punt out of their own end zone. Very warm day here in Southern California. Just 38 yards of offense for Brett Hundley and the Bruins in that 1st period. Hundley going deep, and it is caught inside the 20, and fighting his way down to the 10 is Shaq Evans.
We talked about you have to threaten the middle of the field deep. We said that last series to loosen those safeties up. This is exactly what they do. Hundley throws a nice ball, leads Shaq Evans, throws him open. And Ryan Murphy just a little late. Good protection up front by the young offensive line. Up to snap the ball in a hurry.
46-yard gain, more than their entire yardage total in the 1st quarter. And then Franklin slithers down to the 4. Jim Moore says Franklin reminds him of Warwick Dunn, in part because he has a great knack to find the creases. Like Dunn, not particularly big. They list him at 5'11". That might be generous. Here he comes again on 2nd and goal. Like Warwick Dunn, powerfully built into a compact frame. 3rd down and goal from the 1.
I think you give it to him again, Sean.
Dayton Jones comes in now on offense, wearing number 97, their starting defensive end. Keenan Graham and other defensive players in the game. He's number 40. He'll line up in the backfield. Swing pass to Thigpen. Broke free from one tackle behind the line of scrimmage, but stopped well short of the goal line at the 4. 4th and goal from the 4 upcoming.
Sometimes getting close to make a play is enough, especially when you have the potential of a fast pursuing defense. Jordan Poyer was close enough to slow him down to allow the pursuit of the D to get there on time.
So the defense holds. This time the costly penalty was against UCLA. Amy Fairbairn, true freshman from Honolulu, got off to a rough start in their opener against Rice. He's been better since. That wasn't artistic, but it's up and through from 22 yards to tie the game. Early in the second quarter, 3-3. Among the many trophies on display in UCLA's Athletics Hall of Fame, the 1967 Heisman Trophy won by Gary Beeman, the quarterback, their only Heisman Trophy winner. I think they have a Heisman Trophy candidate today in Jonathan Franklin. But the Oregon State defense done a great job so far bottling him. He's had just 8 yards rushing. And it's a defensive struggle. Tied at 3 as Jeff Locke gets ready to kick off. Malcolm Marble back deep with Teron Ward. Locke is a touchback machine. First 3 games, 21 of his 24 kickoffs have been touchbacks.
Nookie Cabrera.
Sean Mannion on first down, throws, and off to the races goes Cooks. They will not catch him. Brandon Cooks, touchdown, 75 yards.
We told you in the open it'd be about the Oregon State Beaver receivers beating man-to-man coverage. Right there you see Cooks beat Sheldon Price inside. Sheldon Price gambled and lost all his money.
Longest play from scrimmage this year for Oregon State in just their second game of the season. Trevor Romaine, the extra point.
Could be Sheldon Price. Thinks he's having help from McDonald. Number 7 is going to come up and get sucked into play action. Then you're going to hit the slant route. Price tries to jump underneath, but the ball is thrown in front, and Brandon Cooks, timed at 4.31 with a laser, shows you that speed. Sheldon Price, if you're going to get help inside, you cannot jump underneath. McDonald, the safety, came up. Usually he goes to slant when he sees pass. Got sucked up in the run on a 3-step drop. Brandon Cooks will make you pay. That's speed. That's a way to answer, huh, Sean, on the road?
Mike Riley believes he has a much better team than last season. Obviously, you would expect to after a disappointing 3-9. He sincerely believes this is a team that's going to surprise some people around the country. They already did with the win over Wisconsin. Damian Thigpen brings the kickoff back to the 28. Very young offensive line. Jonathan Franklin dropped for a loss back to the 15. Interesting talking with Jim Mora about why he chose Noel Mazzoni to be the offensive coordinator, why this offense. And one of the things Mora said is because you're throwing it so quickly, generally you don't have to have a great offensive line.
Yeah, exactly. And the other reason is that he looked at it from a defensive perspective with his defensive background. So I don't know how to stop it, so I might as well run it.
And he's hiring coordinators. He put on tapes of games those coordinator candidates had coached. He said, I couldn't figure out how I would stop Noel Mazzoni's offense. So many options. The ball gets out so quickly. Jonathan Franklin to the 19-yard line where Rashad Reynolds made the stop. 3rd down and 7 for UCLA. Just 1 out of 6 on 3rd down today.
But you're right, Sean. I think the main reason why you go to this, if you have a young, inexperienced offensive line, they don't have to be great. They just have to be solid.
Midway through the second quarter. Pressure on Hundley. And tripped up for a sack. Back at the 16-yard line, Scott Crichton, the outstanding sophomore from Tacoma, Washington, with the sack. He was a freshman All-American last year.
What speed by Crichton, but it all starts with the pressure inside and outside, a little X game. And take a look at the pressure coming. Here comes DJ Welch. who takes a poor angle. But watch Creighton, big defensive end, running down the speedy Hundley.
Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, raves about those two sophomore ends, Creighton and Dylan Wynn. Jordan Poyer, another fair catch of a Jeff Locke punt that traveled 40 yards. Warm day here in Southern California, temperature near 90. Sean Mannion having a big day for Oregon State, takes off running across midfield. 6-yard gain on the first play of this possession for Mannion, who's already thrown for 228 yards.
Well, the thing about Sean is he's making very good decisions. And one of the problems they wanted to address with Sean from the first game against Wisconsin in this game is to stay on the #1 option longer he has, especially in man-to-man coverage. And he's made the Bruin defensive backs pay.
75 of those yards on a touchdown strike to Brandon Cooks. Some running room for Storm Woods. Very near a first down, just shy of the 45-yard line of UCLA. Donovan Carter, backup defensive end, made the stop.
See if Lou Spanos makes an adjustment here. I mean, they're hurting him on man-to-man. Lou goes to a little bit more of a matchup zone. I'm Oregon State here. If they're up there playing tight man-to-man, I might audible and take my shots.
Saw Lou Spanos, another UCLA coach with a lot of NFL experience. The last 17 years as an assistant in the NFL. 3rd and inches. First man through is Tyler Anderson, the sophomore fullback who has the first down with room to spare. They'll mark him at the 43. 6 minutes to go, first half. Beavers leading 10-3 and in Bruin territory.
It's unusual, Sean, isn't it, to see a team huddle and a team get with 2 backs and a team actually use 2 and 3 tight ends. And I really think that's been a problem for UCLA's defense because they don't see it and they don't practice against it.
You have to learn how to defend the huddle.
Well, the tight ends also.
High formation. Plenty of time for Mannion. He wants to go deep. Has a man behind the defense, and it is caught. Marcus Wheaton, touchdown, Oregon State. Well, Sheldon Price, for the second time, beaten on a long touchdown pass. This one 42 yards. Mannion's up to 293 yards passing in the first half. Trevor Romaine crisp with the extra point.
Nice.
17-3. The Beavers try to beat another ranked team for the second time in as many games this year. Back at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Oregon State opened the season at home with an upset win over Wisconsin, then ranked number 13. Mike Riley said it was the biggest non-conference game ever in Corvallis. Hard for them to get highly ranked non-conference opponents to come in there. Trying to knock off another ranked team today. 17-3 the Beavers margin as Trevor Romaine kicks off to Damian Thigpen. Stephen Manfro, who was injured earlier, back out there to help. Clayton York made the tackle.
Your safety's going to come up and help on the underneath coverage, and you're just going to have speed and athlete beat athlete. Sheldon Price does not get out of his back pedal, and Marcus Wheaton just runs by him. And when you have a nice touch pass where he drops it in the bucket, apparently not suffering from any ramifications of a sore shoulder, delivers 6.
Stephen Manfro, the motion man from the 22. 2 timeouts, but a long way to go for this UCLA offense. Short throw. Catch made by Jerry Johnson. The wide receiver, Michael Doctor, dropped him at the 25. 3-yard gain.
Oregon State's doing a good job of eliminating yards after catch on top every time. Nowhere to run.
Hundley dances away from the rush, had to get rid of it and threw it away. There are flags down in the defensive backfield. The ends, Dylan Wynn and Scott Crichton, giving Hundley a problem again.
It's decent protection. Usually that's a holding.
Prior to the pass being thrown, holding on the defense, number 40. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down. Also, there was no foul for intentional grounding. Quarterback was outside the pocket, pass across the line of scrimmage.
Michael Doctor diagnosed with the infraction, and the ball comes out to the 35.
And the thing is, he does not need to do this. He's in good position, understanding the read route. And you panic a little bit because he lost inside position. You always want to force that ball in that read route back to the outside.
Better field position. See if UCLA is more aggressive. One of the linemen lost his helmet. They are aggressive. And Shaq Evans is going to the house. "65 yards. And just like that, UCLA is back within a touchdown. Shaquille Evans, transfer from Notre Dame, junior from right here in Inglewood, California. Amy Fairbairn, the extra point. He had 3 of them blocked in the opener at Rice. They've solved that problem since with better protection and higher kicks. Raising the smile if you're a Bruin. It's a 1-score game. All right, Robert, thank you. Here at the Rose Bowl, the crowd back into it now after the first touchdown of the game for UCLA. It's been a game now of big plays in the passing game on each side. 2 long touchdown passes for the Beavers, and now a 65-yard score. Brett Hundley to Shaq Evans. First touchdown of the year for Evans. Left block, kicks off. Out of the back of the end zone. Over the head of Malcolm Marble.
You got to get lined up. They're not lined up. This is number 3 defender, number 3 receiver. You need to be here. You need to be here. Why? So this guy isn't put too much pressure. He jumps underneath. You have the 3 verticals. Watch the safety jump. Right there. The corner has no help. That's a good read by Hundley. A non-target. But Sean, it's all about lining up. You have to jam inside receivers to help the safety, because the safety's in a bind. Then you leave your corner on an island. And big plays happen. Getting lined up, number 1 priority.
Longest pass of Brett Hundley's career. Storm Woods carries for a yard, and UCLA is going to use a timeout. Problem for them is they can only stop it once more, so they're unlikely to get the ball back unless there's a turnover, but that's what Jim Moore is hoping for. What a lineup tonight, including LSU and Auburn. Vanderbilt and Georgia, they had some hostilities at the end of last year's game on the field during the handshakes. Interesting to see if that lingers.
Yeah, again, I like Georgia. I think Georgia's a contender for the SEC championship. The Auburn team is interesting. Went to overtime with Louisiana Monroe, struggling. LSU might want to put it on them tonight, so we'll see if Auburn responds to the challenge. Of course, later on, Notre Dame and Michigan is an interesting matchup. And Notre Dame looks like a different team.
Warm day in Pasadena. 88 at kickoff, probably warmer than that now here as we head toward mid-afternoon, just after 2 o'clock. This beautiful part of the country. 2nd down and 9 for Oregon State. UCLA can stop it once more. Woods lunges to the 28, and they'll stop it again. Andrew Abbott made the tackle for UCLA. He has started at safety and at corner this year. for the Bruins. Big day so far for Sean Mannion. He's thrown for 273 yards.
Well, the one thing he's doing, he's throwing the ball down the field. Practice does make perfect. The first game against Wisconsin, check down, check down, check down. This game, I'm going deep, and I'm going deeper.
Mentioned son of a coach is Mannion. Effective with the deep balls today, helped by the run after the catch on the first touchdown by Brandon Cooks. His dad, John, was the coach in the San Francisco Bay Area. Matter of fact, coached at Sean Mannion's high school in Pleasanton, California. And when Mannion went off to Oregon State, his family moved up to Oregon. His dad is now the head coach at Silverton High School, and the Foxes had a win over Corvallis High last night, 49-0, to go to 4-0. So it's been a great start to the year for the Mannion family. Storm Woods almost made UCLA pay for using those 2 timeouts. If Hester didn't trip him up, it would have been interesting to see where that one ended.
And now you have 40 seconds for Oregon State with 1 timeout left. Now you put the ball back in play. Well, it looks like he's content on running the clock down. I think I got a little rhythm going. I might try to get down there in field goal position.
They have a timeout. They're out to the 35. But they're not in any hurry. Still in the huddle, as a matter of fact. But you know who'll be happy? Jim Mora's dad. Longtime NFL coach of the same name. They're not senior and junior. The dad told Jim Mora, the UCLA coach, your defense never huddles. And the son said that's because the other team never huddles. Halftime. Oregon State leading 17-10. And a game highlighted by long touchdown passes on both sides. Here's Quint.
Coach, your defense dug in pretty well for most of that first half. But what happened on that last touchdown?
Oh, they just hit us in the void outside, and it's too bad because we just gave them an easy one.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
17-10 at the half. Stay tuned for a complete halftime report after these messages. Back in Pasadena, California, not far from downtown Los Angeles. On this warm day, the smog in evidence. 93 degrees right now as we get ready for the second half here at the Rose Bowl. Sean McDonough and Chris Spielman. Oregon State trying to go to 2-0 and beat a ranked opponent for the second game in a row. Really had the upper hand in much of that first half.
And they did. And I think where UCLA can come out and attack is attack the middle of the field. When they had success on offense, it's down the middle of the field. Why? Because Oregon's safeties are so tight to the line of scrimmage. If you're Oregon State, what you do, if they're in press coverage, you keep attacking them because your best is beating their best. Your athlete is beating their athlete, and it's paying off.
Neither team ran the ball. That's a lingering concern for Oregon State because they averaged only 87 yards per game rushing last season. But when you throw for 273.5, you're not that hung up on it. Jonathan Franklin, the nation's leading rusher, just 15 yards rushing on 8 carries.
See the adjustment that they make defensively. Again, if they're going to stick to what they believe and say we're a man-to-man team, that's fine. Oregon State has made you pay in the first half.
Jeff Locke kicks it out of the end zone again. For USC's loss at Stanford last week, UCLA's 3-0 start, a chance for the Bruins to gain a little more traction locally, but on the short end of a 7-point score right now, and they take it away again. Turnovers on consecutive plays for the Beaver offense as Stan McKay intercepts Sean Mannion.
One of the first mistakes is deciding where you're going to go with the football before the ball is thrown. Sean Mannion makes a decision that he's going to go in this area on a tight end corner route before he reads the defense. His back is turned, so he gets a late read on the defense, and Stan McKay jumping underneath the tight end corner route, not fooled by play action at all, getting enough depth to make a play.
Well, that's a horrible decision and a great angle from our crew to see just how surrounded Prince, the receiver, was. Hundley throws, caught. Shaq Evans, he lost his helmet, so he'll have to come out, but he got the first down. Down to the 36-yard line. Evans has the UCLA touchdown. Stan McKay, first interception of the season for the junior from Long Beach.
So far, you see Lou Spanos right there excited. His defense does step up in the second half. Done it so far today.
And this their 4th game. 1st and 16, and the pass incomplete off the hands of Jonathan Franklin.
We talk about it all the time, Sean. When you have a dangerous weapon like Franklin, you have to give him the ball so he doesn't have to work to get it. He threw it behind him and at his face. And he had some space to move. He'll make a guy miss out in space. Didn't have the opportunity.
On 2nd and 16. Just a 3-man rush. A lot of time. Hundley has a man breaking open, and he can't connect with Kenneth Walker. That was a touchdown if he hit him.
That's where they're attacking, and they have success down the field because of the safeties inching up. And that's a blown opportunity. And certainly you can see the speed of Kenneth Walker on a little nice post route. Zimmerman, the safety, bites on it. Just leads him a little too far.
3rd and 16. 1 out of 10 on 3rd down, UCLA. 6:15 to go now in the quarter. Long throw off the hands of Manfro. He's had a couple of chances and hasn't been able to haul them in here in the second half. Good throw by Hundley that time. Jordan Poyer had the coverage.
2 missed opportunities. It's a little switch route. Manfro goes in a little out and up, and Poyer has to run with him. He got nosy looking back into the backfield, and a catch has to be made. You got to make a play when a play needs to be made.
8th punt of the day for Jeff Locke. And then another fair catch made by Poyer. He's also an outstanding baseball player. Played briefly in the Beaver baseball program. 31-yard punt. Nice day to be at the beach for the Santa Monica Pier. Hot in the Rose Bowl, particularly in these metal bleachers. The place seats about 90,000, so even when it's a little over half full, it can look empty. Probably in excess of 50,000 here, and they are hot.
UCLA has gone long, much like the blimp, and missed out on 2 opportunities.
Meanwhile, Oregon State has turned it over. Interceptions in the last 2 plays thrown by Sean Mannion, but neither converted into points by the Bruins. Quick swinger to Marcus Wheaton. And he's yanked down by Andrew Abbott after a short gain. And they put some pressure on Mannion today. But he's had their number for the most part. Now a 300-yard passing day for Mannion, who had 4 300-yard games last year. He's a team captain, one of the 4, the first sophomore football captain at Oregon State. Wheaton, dual threat as a runner and a receiver. He has a first down. It's been a good year for the MAC. Looks like it might be a really tough year for the Big Ten. Storm Woods stumbles down. They're going to mark him at the 28. Damian Holmes, inside linebacker, tripped him up.
MAC will be the Big Ten champions this year.
Eastern Michigan hasn't won a game. I mean, I guess you must say that Michigan State's having a hangover after that dismal performance last week against Notre Dame.
You would say that, but then that would be a horrible excuse. Line up and play and beat the team you're supposed to beat.
Storm Woods off to the races and out to the 50-yard line. Going to mark him at the UCLA 49. Big gain for Woods, 23 yards.
Well, Storm Woods does a good job of hitting his hole. Not patient at all. Straight ahead. And you see the blocker staying on. No creation of separation for the UCLA defenders. A good job of finishing downfield blocks for the Oregon State offensive line.
A lovely lady wearing the cowgirl hat is Mary Bars. His grandmother was actively involved in raising Storm Woods. And wonder what she's going to grade the drop. That was Cook's drop for a 1-yard loss. When we spoke with Storm Woods at the Oregon State Hotel last night, Mary Bars came into the room with him. It was really a very nice scene. They were holding hands as they walked into the room. Very close, Storm and his grandmother. We were talking to Storm about his academics because he graduated from high school with a 3.5. He said, well, I have a 2.8 at Oregon State, but I was in chemical engineering. I just changed. Mary said anything less than a B is not acceptable in our household. Wheaton, nice run after the catch. A really nice bit of play calling here by Mike Riley. They're finding a rhythm after the 2 turnovers. They're down at the 20-yard line after a 15-yard gain.
Yeah, it's all set up by the running game, and you see Sheldon Price giving him a lot of room, and Wheaton, you can't give a lot of room, or Brandon Cooks, because they're so good with run after catch. So the dilemma is, do I press them? They go by me. If I play off, they run past me.
7 catches for 135 yards and a touchdown for Wheaton. Kevin Cummings went in motion, taking advantage of Wheaton's ability to run after the catch. Kevin McDonald tackled him, but it's at the 12, a gain of 8. Wheaton is a sprinter on the track team at Oregon State.
Sean, we talked about the adjustment UCLA had to make as they can't press because it can get beat deep. So they started playing off a little bit. Well, what's the counter for Oregon State? Is throwing the quick bubble passes and getting those guys to get the ball early so they can do their work. Nice little chess match going on. Love it.
And it's being won by the Oregon State coaches offensively at the moment. This Bruin defense on its heels. Back to the run. Ron Ward has a first down inside the 10. First and goal, Oregon State at the 9, and the clock under 3 minutes left in the third quarter. Big game tonight here on ABC, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Clemson and Florida State, the biggest game of the day in college football. 2 teams in the top 10.
I know one thing, Florida State's defense is highly thought of, but they're going to get all they can handle with all those weapons that Clemson brings to the table on the offensive side of the ball.
Impressive drive here for the Beavers. Started at their own 12. Mannion after the play fake. Incomplete. Intended for Brandon Cooks, sophomore from Stockton, California, with Sheldon Price in coverage.
Another improvement from Sean Mannion from last year to this year. Off the 18 interceptions, now he knows when to throw it away and live to fight another down.
And they're living today without the running game. They averaged 87 yards per game rushing last year, 118th in the country out of 120. Mike Riley said we can't do that again this year. They're getting away with little running game today. They go back to the ground game. Ron Ward looked like he slipped as he went to cut. He's down to the 6. Andrew Abbott credited with the tackle.
We have 3rd and 6 right here. The one thing you want to do is a lot of times you'll line your receivers up in a bunch formation. It makes it very difficult to play man-to-man because your defenders have to communicate, and there's a miscommunication. Usually ends up in a touchdown. Let's see what type of formation they bring to the table.
Again, Mannion needs to be careful. You want the touchdown, but a field goal with the way this Beaver defense is playing would also be big. Lofts it up for Wheaton, and he's being held. Flag thrown, 2 flags down. And a rough day for Sheldon Price. Beat on 2 long touchdowns, and it looks like he's going to get called for pass interference here.
Pass interference, defense, number 22, for not playing the ball. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball's placed at the 2-yard line. First and goal.
Let's see Sheldon Price right here, and let's see where those hands are. He's nervous because Wheaton has such a good day. Now he was okay because Wheaton put his hands on him, and he's trying to hand fight with him. He held on a little bit too long where Wheaton let go.
Key penalties, roughing the passer and pass interference on this drive against the Bruin defense. Storm Woods. Grandma gives that an A+. Touchdown, Oregon State. Trevor Romaine adds the extra point. Oregon State, the only team in the country that played one game this season, entering today. Some wondered, would all that downtime create rust? No, they've played very well on both sides of the ball, and they now lead by 2 touchdowns.
Set up by Tyler Anderson, who's been a factor in this second half with a key block on McDonald. Not going in there blowing him up, Sean, but positioning, getting on the outside of him. It's called a log block. He logs him to the inside. Storm Woods with patience in an opening. And you see Cooks getting a nice block for his buddy. He's really a delightful kid. I really enjoyed being with him. And again, we asked him what he did well, and I love his confidence. And you can tell the difference between cockiness and confidence. Cocky is when you think you're good. Confidence is when you believe in your ability and you go out and perform. And Storm's done that today.
We asked him, what are your strengths? Smooth, agile, fast, great hands. I'm a hard worker.
I'll have to call him on the great hands right now. I'll give him the others.
Romaine's kickoff through the back of the end zone. College football action continues tonight on ESPN. The second and third ranked teams in the nation highlight a primetime doubleheader. First at 7 Eastern, number 2 LSU takes on Auburn. Then at 10:30 Eastern, the number 3 Oregon Ducks host 22nd ranked Arizona, off to a great start under Rich Rodriguez. All tonight starting at 7 Eastern on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. A lot of fast-paced action in that Arizona-Oregon game. 2 high-tempo offenses. Jack Evans, nice tackle by Michael Doctor, just short of the first down marker. Gain of 9. Bruins will try to pick up the tempo, down by 2 touchdowns. We approach a minute to go in the third. Terrific touchdown drive by Oregon State to open this game up to 2 scores. They went 88 yards in 11 plays. Jonathan Franklin on 2nd and 1 nearly popped it. Tyreek Zimmerman, the safety man, made the tackle at the 47.
Tyreek Zimmerman's banged up a little bit. He was limping back to his position at safety. You notice that. You might want to attack the middle of the field.
13-yard gain, longest run of the day for Franklin. Jerry Johnson the catch. Rashad Reynolds the quick tackle. Lined up opposite Jerry Rice Jr. 4-man rush. Hundley throws, caught. First down inside the 35-yard line. Joseph Fourier. He is the nephew of Christian Fourier, a fine tight end in the NFL for 13 years. 13-yard gain.
Well, he's a matchup problem for linebackers because of his size, and actually creates a little bit of separation. And Doctor does the thing you don't want to do in man-to-man and look back at the quarterback, because the receiver will pull away from you.
First catch of the day for Joseph Fourier. Might be the last play of the third quarter. And it is. Oregon State trying to go to 2-0 with wins over 2 ranked opponents. They lead by 2 touchdowns as we go to the 4th. Sean McDonough, Chris Spielman, Quint Kesenick, our producer Bo Garrett, director Mike Schwab, terrific college football technical production crew. 14-point deficit for UCLA as we begin the 4th quarter. Red Hundley deep down the middle and caught inside the 10. Darius Bell makes it 1st and goal. Bruins at the 4.
Man-to-man principles must be executed under pressure. Tyreek Zimmerman in man-to-man cannot let him inside. His help is to the outside over the top. UCLA will line up and snap the ball. And there's some confusion on the Beaver defense with substitution.
Out in the flat it goes, juggled for a moment by Manfro, then he lost the football. They're going to roll him down inside the 1. He was extending the ball, trying to score a touchdown. It came out, and the Beavers recovered. But the official on the far side ruled it a down by contact, rather, not a fumble. Mike Riley doesn't like the ruling from Fred Gallagher, pointing up toward the press box. So that's the 2nd timeout. Of course, Mike Riley burned one earlier. It looked like he might go for it in his own territory in 4th down. Then after thinking about it, punted. I saw a game not too long ago where they said shin down is the equivalent of the knee down. It looked like even if that kneecap didn't hit the ground, the shin was on the ground. Maybe that's what Fred Gallagher is so convinced about. They say confirmed. It means there's no doubt in the booth the call was absolutely right on the field. Hundley, touchdown, got shoved across the goal line by Jonathan Franklin.
Yeah.
And it's a game again. UCLA within 1 score with 14 minutes to go.
See Franklin helping him in there, and that is a penalty. You're not allowed to help the runner advance forward. Rarely do we see that called. Evidence when Reggie Bush pushed Matt Leinart.
Bush push. Tammy Fairbairn makes the extra point. So UCLA answers the Oregon State touchdown with a 7-play, 75-yard drive. Back in Pasadena, not far from the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Stars honoring legendary performers, including the great Matt Damon, son of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Jeff Locke kicks off. 4 kickoffs from Locke and 4 touchbacks. Malcolm Marble took a knee. Let's look at our Pacific Life game summary. 1 minute into the 4th quarter. Sean Mannion, 326 yards passing. A lot of the damage done through the air with Marcus Wheaton on the receiving end. Hundley just scored a rushing touchdown. And Brett was 5 for 5 on the drive that has UCLA back within 7 points.
It would help them. UCLA, the last series, that they were operating at high speed and getting into the rhythm, and that's dependent on their offense being successful, is that rhythm.
On first down, a quality gainer for Storm Woods. He gets 10.5 on a first down, tackled by Eric Kendricks.
UCLA has trouble stopping the run, giving up over 7 yards a carry. You can see right there, they don't get to him until he's 8 yards down the field. There's not a hand laid on him. Could be a sign of fatigue for the Bruin front 4.
Oregon State has not trailed in this game. Twice they've had a 14-point lead. Woods finds another hole and gets about 10.5 more. Out to the 46-yard line. Randall Goforth, true freshman defensive back, made the tackle. Jim Moore loves him. Brings a little bit of a nasty attitude, and the coach meant that in a good way.
They keep gashing you. You got to bring one of those safeties up, either Goforth or McDonald, become the 8th player in the box, and you're unblocked. Here he comes right now. See him? There's Goforth sneaking up inside.
If you don't bring him up, they will continue to go forth against the UCLA defense. Dumped over the middle to Cooks. He spins off the hit. McDonald didn't get him on the ground, and that really hurts the Bruins. Cooks thinking about scoring and gets knocked out of bounds inside the 2. Anthony Barr saved the touchdown.
I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep saying it week in and week out. You have to wrap up on tackles, especially with guys that great running ability like Brandon Cooks. You see McDonald come in there, did not wrap his arms, dropped to his knees, and he did not run through his target. He ran to his target, and when you have an explosive player like Cooks, they will make you pay. And he did.
46-yard play. He had a 75-yard touchdown pass earlier in this game. Oregon State trying to score the 2nd possession in a row and answer the Bruin touchdown. It's the fullback, Tyler Anderson. Stopped shy of the goal line. And if you're Mike Riley, you might not mind a score on 3rd down. You want to go up by 2 touchdowns, but you wouldn't mind milking as much of the clock as you can here too. Although I think he'd take a touchdown on 2nd down if you gave it to him.
He wouldn't give it back. He'll probably go back to him. Wilson's a pretty good lead blocker.
Agnew stopped for a loss. Lost about a yard. Lee Epinesa, Donovan Carter, Cassius Marsh, all along that defensive front. Ball marked just outside the 1, a yard and a half to go for a touchdown. 3rd down and goal.
Backside of the Beaver offensive line was laying on the ground. They tried to chop. Bruin defenders would have nothing of it.
Freshman center, true freshman. Isaac Seumalo with the snap. Mannion hands it off deep for Agnew, in trouble and stopped. And did the ball come out? They went diving toward the pile at the end of the play. The Bruins think they have it. Agnew's had fumbling issues in the past. Fourth down. Apparently it did come out, and the Beavers got it back.
See right here.
I think if that had gone to replay, he might have been ruled down anyway. Ball's in his arm. Actually, they may want to look at it to see if it's a touchdown.
Exactly.
Looked like it popped out when his elbow hit the ground. Tough angle now here from Trevor Romaine. An 18-yard try, made a 22-yarder earlier, his only attempt. He's 2 for 3 this year. $15 out of 22 last season was Romaine as a freshman. And right down the middle again. Back to a 2-score lead for Beaver Nation. Up by 10 with 9:42 to go. Well, here in Pasadena and on the UCLA campus in Westwood, they were hoping to celebrate a 4-0 start for the UCLA Bruins, which would be their first since 2005 when they went 8-0 to begin the year, but they're down by 10 against Oregon State with 9.5 minutes to go.
Sean, if you're Oregon State, where have you been hurt? Down the middle of the field, right? So you want to be, I don't want to say you want to play prevent defense, but you certainly want to be aware of protecting deep down the middle.
Trevor Romaine kicks off. It's a snap hook, but through the back of the end zone. 26-yard gain. Time ticking down. 4:10 to go. Hundley doesn't get away this time. Scott Creighton again. Coaches rave about Creighton. Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator, couldn't find enough nice things to say about him, and after watching him in person, you can understand why. His 2nd sack of the day.
And one of the reasons for the success is they're getting pressure with 3 men and playing doctor as a spy.
Three-man rush. Hundley's pass tipped. You know, it's never too early. The Heisman Trophy thing gets speculated upon every week. I'm going to start speculation right now for the Frank Broyles Award to the assistant coach, the best assistant coach in the country. How about Mark Banker, the defensive coordinator for Oregon State? They held Wisconsin to 207 yards. Monte Ball to 61 yards rushing. And his defense has been outstanding today against this high-flying Bruin outfit. And right on cue, there's a big bomb down the middle to Darius Bell when they really needed it. Ryan Murphy made the tackle at the Beaver 41.
And they attack Jordan Boyer, who's getting caught flat-footed, understanding you have to play like a Tampa 2, which is that guy has to be carried all the way to the seam, man-to-man, to take pressure off the safeties. He's playing flat-footed and just got outrun.
Beautiful throw by Hundley, dropped it right in there, 34 yards. The drive's alive for UCLA. Damian Thigpen tackled in space by Poyer. Yeah, he's one of the best in the country, and there's no doubt about that. Here's Mark Banker.
He's under some criticism himself, Sean. He's an outstanding coach. He's done games with Oregon State before. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, they were 84th in the country in total defense last year and 86th the year before that. That brought out the critics. But it's been said many times about coaches, they didn't just get dumb overnight. Joseph Fourier made the tackle, made the catch, and Michael Doctor made the tackle for Banker. And the Beaver defense, 3rd down and less than a yard. 2.5 minutes to go. Thigpen's in trouble and swung down. The doctor did it again.
He's come on a blitz right here to put the pressure on, zone pressure, and Doctor just comes in untouched, and you see the inexperience of the UCLA offensive line. You cannot let anybody inside run free to make a play behind the line of scrimmage.
4th down and 4 for UCLA. Jonathan Franklin not even on the field for the Bruins. They must convert, for this ball game is for all intents and purposes over. Hundley had to throw it, broken up by Jordan Poyer, but a flag thrown. Darius Bell, the intended receiver. There are 2 flags down in the secondary. One of the officials indicating he had a holding call.
Pass being thrown, holding on the defense, number 16. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Rashad Reynolds called for holding.
You see Rashad right here at the top of your screen, number 16. And I think they're talking about Poyer, number 14, who had the left shoulder pad hooked of Bell.
Well, it definitely wasn't Reynolds. They announced the wrong number. Huge call there to keep UCLA's hopes alive. From the 25, Hundley over the middle. Catching traffic by Shaq Evans, taken down immediately by Reynolds. 1 timeout left for each team. And the clock is stopped for an injured player, so there's a tough break for the Beavers. Doubly tough because it's Ryan Murphy, who looks like he might be cramping up, and they really don't want to lose their starting safety. Aerial coverage from directly above the Rose Bowl, provided by Goodyear. Everything Goodyear has learned, making tires that go the distance, inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, go long. Renovations underway here at the Rose Bowl 3-phase project. They're fixing up the press box right now. They've added some luxury suites, working on the concourses.
So one thing you might want to think about if you're UCLA, Anthony Watkins, number 3, is going to come in and take the place of Ryan Murphy. You might want to identify him on your pre-snap read and go after him, since he's been sitting on the sidelines.
He's a veteran player. Watkins has been a starter in the past, but he's had a lot of injuries lately. A hip flexor that's held him back. Quickly, here's Quint.
Guys, cramping issues now starting to hit this Oregon State team, both on offense and defense. Storm Woods, they're running back with cramps. Obviously, the safety. Good news on this drive, though, they have been able to sub their defensive line every 3rd play or so.
It's going to be hard to do against this up-tempo UCLA offense, but they haven't really gone at a blistering pace today. Hundley 6 for 7 on this drive. Clock running now. 2 minutes to go. Hundley through behind Shaq Evans. 3rd down and 2, UCLA. Jonathan Franklin, the nation's leading rusher, really not a factor today. Just 45 yards on 12 carries. Hundley's thrown for 362. His 3rd 300-yard passing game in 4 games as a college quarterback. 4-man rush. Still they put pressure on. He got away. Zings one low into the end zone. Looking for Stephen Manfro. And here's another 4th down, and Jim Moore is going to go for the field goal here, and then undoubtedly an onside kick. Kaimi Fairbairn missed from 42, the longest attempt of his career, moments ago.
Well, they did go after Anthony Watkins. He had him early, but he dropped his eyes. Hundley did because of the pressure.
Kevin McDermott, senior long snapper. Jeff Locke, the punter, is the holder. Has to have it. 35-yarder. He does have it. Nice response after the miss a moment ago that would have gotten them within 7. UCLA defense have been averaging 622 yards of offense in their 3 wins. They have 434 today. Bear in mind, Oregon State watched Wisconsin recover an onside kick near the end of their game 2 weeks ago, but it got overturned when the kicker touched it 9.5 yards off the line of scrimmage. They have no problem recovering this one. Michael Doctor, who's had 9 tackles for the Beaver defense, recovers it, and that should just about do it, as UCLA has only 1 timeout left for Coach Jim Mora. Terrific lineup tonight on ESPN, ESPN2, and the big one on ABC, Clemson and Florida State. Storm Woods, all he wants to do is hang on the ball. He got a pair to the 45, and the Bruins used their final timeout. Eric Kendricks made the tackle.
When you look at their schedule, it's a tough little matchup they have next week, but I'll tell you, they proved that they can go on the road. Tough place to play, travel well. Did a nice job today.
Storm Woods, the ball carrier. UCLA cannot stop the clock. Barring a disaster now for the Beavers, Mike Riley is going to be tied with Lon Steiner as the winningest coach in the history of Oregon State football. And you think about where that program was. Consecutive losing seasons for a quarter century before he got to Corvallis, where his first stint was there 2 years left and then came back after 4 years of NFL coaching. Remarkable accomplishment by Riley in his 12th year at age 59. The place he absolutely loves. Very safe handoff to Woods. Stays on his feet, and they're going to rule him down. Very close to the line of scrimmage. The clock is running. There's about a 12-second difference. So they will have to do something here, either punt it. In this instance, all you want to do is just get the punt off. Make sure you're covered. Keith Kostel, we should point out, dropped a perfect snap last week against Wisconsin. He wants to make sure he's sure-handed this time.
Make sure you lay it up at least inside the 15. And if you're the return man, you want to catch the ball because you want to save as many seconds as you can.
7th punt of the day for Kostel. They come after him, and he got it off. Abbott signals for the fair catch and makes it at the 10-yard line. Just to amplify and put a period on the Mike Riley conversation, they had a couple of down years, but I think we've seen today he and his staff have not forgotten how to coach.
Oh, he's outstanding.
Averaged 9 wins a year in the 4 years prior to these 2 losing seasons, the last 2. The 2 seasons prior to the 2 years in a row of losing records, they were playing for a chance to go to the Rose Bowl late in the year. Hundley, probably be a bunch of laterals here. Bell looking for someone to throw it to. And that's the ball game. Jordan James couldn't get very far with it, and Mike Riley is now tied. Lon Steiner is the all-time winningest coach in Oregon State history. But more importantly, the Beavers go to 2-0 with a huge road win. Sean Mannion threw for 379 and 2 touchdowns. Here's Quint.
Coach, congratulations. How do you best describe the defensive effort today?
Oh, it was an awesome job by our defense. I thought they just kept playing and playing. We gave up one big play, you know, but besides that, I thought it was an awesome way to go, Eric. A nice job by our defense.
You said coming in, you only had 1 game under your belt. We're kind of a mystery. Where does this team stand in your eyes right now?
2-0. 2-0, and we'll just keep trying to get better. I like this team. They've been working real hard. I thought this was a great win for the Beavers. You know, come down here, the Rose Bowl. These guys were undefeated, had some big wins, and I really liked how our team played today.
And you put yourself on an individual level tied at Oregon State for the most wins ever.
Yeah, that's a staff deal, and I love it. I love it because it means we've been there a while, and it means a lot to me that way, and I'm very thankful for the time we've had at Oregon State. We're just going to make it longer.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Sean.
Yeah, he talked the other day, in this business, all you want to do is survive. Took a big step towards survival, and perhaps much more than that. Perhaps a chance for a special season after 2 wins over ranked opponents. 27-20 the final. Oregon State beats UCLA.